LA Salami. I gave you a couple of my favorite artists of late, and I go through just really a list of favorite artists just about every week that I just love their stuff. Sky Daddy with Medusa right before LA Salami's I Wear This Because Life is War, which is an interesting title leading into our conversation here. It's incredible. Sometimes here at the radio station, the passerbys, usually for me, it is superficial greetings and hellos. And then on occasion, you meet someone that you're fascinated by what their story might be. As people walk by, you never know what the story is. You just see life on their face. And sometimes when you have a dog and you're walking your dog past here, I, of course, will want to stop and meet the dog. Our guest today is Scott Schwimer. Scott, I met by simply him walking beautiful Honey past the studio. And Honey is the reason that I've known Scott. Scott ended up winning an auction item at last year's Taste of Laguna, which, by the way, is happening again October 2nd. And the auction item is the same. It's an opportunity to just come on, tell your story here at the radio station, and we welcome Scott to the radio station today. Hey, Scott.
And here I thought I was L.A. Salami.
That was your porn name, by the way.
Right. That was it. That was it. Hi, Ed.
How you doing?
It's so weird to be talking to you on this side of the microphone.
It's fun.
It is fun. I'm going to have fun. This is going to be a really fun hour.
It's going to be a great hour.
Right, even though I've dragged my feet for almost a year.
Yeah, well, it probably took. You're busy. I know you as probably one of the busiest people that at first I assumed retired as you walked by.
Right.
But then you're like, no, I got to go to work. I work in Los Angeles. You are an entertainment attorney.
I am.
In Los Angeles.
Well, I was up until, I'm still an entertainment attorney,
right.
But Laguna Beach is now my home. I'm an official Laguna-tic, so I'm here full time.
Well, welcome.
And so glad to make the move.
Right.
This is my home.
Compare L.A., living in L.A. to here.
Oof. That's a tough one, Ed, because I'm a native. I was born and raised in L.A.
Right.
And I've always been an ardent supporter of everything Los Angeles. But
right.
I have to tell you, it's changed a lot.
Right.
It's not the Los Angeles I grew up in.
Right.
Obviously, it's a bunch of suburbs
right.
put together, a bunch of little towns. But the area that I live in, Laguna now, very much reminds me of how I grew up in Los Angeles. And so this feels like a much more comfortable shoe than what has happened in LA now. It's become very dirty, pushy, shovey. Right. I love crossing a street in Laguna where all four corners people stop for you.
Right. Sometimes. Yeah.
Sometimes they do.
Right.
And they wave, and it's the traffic is nice and you don't hear a lot of horns.
Right.
And
do you know your neighbors, all of your neighbors?
I know all my neighbors. My
right.
neighbors are wonderful.
And is that what you miss about Los Angeles?
I did miss that. I actually have moved several different times. Right. I haven't gone very far
right.
in Los Angeles. My last spot was in a condo, walking distance from where I grew up.
Right.
And but it was people maintained a safe distance.
Right.
Even in a condo situation.
Right.
So I miss that. I really, when I grew up, my folks had a small place in Newport Beach when it was a little fishing village.
Okay.
And we used to escape down there all summer. It was an idyllic childhood. And my brother and my sister and myself, we were just free all day long. All we had to do was show up for dinner. Mm-hmm. And it was an amazing way to escape LA even back then. Mm. So I get to say hello to the people walking by. Mm. So I found my happy place has always been in the Newport and Laguna area.
Okay. And growing up in LA and being able to vacation in Newport, was your family well off?
No, Newport was not the place it is today.
Okay.
Newport was, they were comfortable.
Right.
But Newport, it was a small fishing village, right. And there wasn't a lot of pretense to it.
Right.
Always conservative,
Right.
but
yeah.
but not a lot of pretense. Very small and affordable places, and we would spend as soon as school got out, we'd come down here and spend the whole summer. My brother and sister were more than happy to stay on the peninsula, and I used to beg my parents as a little kid to take me to Laguna.
Right. Tell me about your brother and sister.
Well, my sister is the eldest,
Okay.
and there's 6.5 years difference between my sister and myself. She lives up in Pebble Beach with her husband and 2 kids. And my brother's about 4.5 years older than me, and he's in Beverly Hills also.
Okay.
He's a doctor up in Beverly Hills if anybody needs a radiologist.
Very cool.
And I'm the baby of the family.
Right. I grew up the baby of my family. So
It's the best place.
It is a good spot to be in the family.
If you interviewed them, they would tell you that I'm terribly spoiled. Would your siblings tell you that you're spoiled?
They would tell that among all of us, I was the most probably spoiled. Yes.
Are we the most fun?
We are definitely the most
Definitely
fun.
the most
Definitely the most fun.
Right.
And if you interviewed my siblings, they would tell you that they also spoiled me.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
So it wasn't like just parental spoilage.
Right.
It was everybody in the house spoiling.
Right. I
you a
think
little
I was a little doll for my sister. So she was about 6.5 when I was born.
Right.
And she used to teach. She actually taught me. She was my little teacher. And when I went to nursery school, I already knew how to read because of her.
Right. Right. Yeah, we get those advantages by being the youngest.
Right.
All of us did.
It
Yeah.
was great. And I
Right.
shared a bedroom with my brother, which people who didn't share rooms
Right.
didn't understand how much fun it could be.
Right.
I don't know if you did.
I did. I shared a room with my brother. That's where I learned to be funny. That's where I learned
Right,
to be.
me too.
Yeah, and at the dinner table, you tried to get the best. I had a really super funny family, so we were always funny at the dinner table. And at night, my brother would teach me the dirty jokes that we weren't allowed to say at the dinner
Exactly.
table. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. It was
Very,
great.
very cool.
It was great fun. It was a great family. There was not a lot of angst. It was a really loving family, and again, an idyllic childhood.
Right. And your brother becoming a doctor, that was drilled into him by your parents?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I grew up in a Jewish family, and so you had 2 choices. If you were brilliant, you became a doctor, and if you were a dummy, you became a lawyer. So that was my fate.
Right.
know.
And why did you choose an entertainment attorney? Why did you choose entertainment as the type of law that you would practice?
Well, the place I grew up in, Los Angeles, was on a street that connected MGM Studios on one side and 20th Century Fox Studios on the other side.
Right.
And my little buddies and I would always ride our bikes up and down the streets. They were always filming things like the Green Hornet and Batman and all these great shows.
Right.
So I always would just sit and watch the movie making and was fascinated with it. So when I went to law school, I knew I wanted that aspect. Of course, at that time, because I'm a little older, they didn't actually offer entertainment law classes in law school. So it was a difficult leap for me to make that transition. Go Hawks! I don't know who the Hawks are, but they should go. Right. That was a comment from the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Now I know what it sounds like when
See?
you're in the hot seat.
There we go.
When I went to law school, I endeavored to get into that area. My family did not have those kind of connections,
Right.
so there was no Nepo introductions.
Right.
And I spent nearly a year pounding on doors, trying to get myself in. And I finally landed a job at a studio that produced shows like Dallas and Falcon Crest and Knots Landing. And
Yeah, those were huge.
they were huge.
They were huge
in
shows.
the 80s.
Yeah.
They were huge. It was a real ticket for me because when they would have me fly, since I was so low level, I always flew coach.
Right.
And this was pre 9/11, so I was able to take signed photographs from the Dallas crew by all the Dallas folks,
Right.
and tell the woman at the front or the man, hey, would you like a signed autograph picture
From Larry Hagman?
From Larry Hagman. I wish I'd kept some. And next thing I knew, I was bumped up to first class, so that was my ticket to first class.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, it was great.
Just wheeling and dealing your way
It
to
was great,
first
right
class,
from the
man.
beginning.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning.
The You went to Stanford University?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
And even Stanford did not offer specific
No, there just really didn't exist. Ironically, because you're hosting me here on your most fabulous radio station, it's the only one I listen to.
I love that. Thank you.
But ironically, I was never really into music. And so although my practice encompasses film and television and lots of publishing, I have a lot of artists who are writers on both sides, screenplay and novels. I never did any music.
Wow.
And the only class actually at my law school was a visiting professor who taught music law, which I took just because. It was something, right? I know enough just for malpractice. Right.
Is there a difference in practicing that type of the type of law that you practice now, which is motion pictures and
Absolutely.
writing and music? Is it completely different?
It's not completely different, but the nuances are different. Right. I mean, it's really interesting because most people, when they meet lawyers, I get lots of times at parties or a dinner conversation, people will ask me general questions, right. And people assume that lawyers know all the fields.
Right.
It's a bit like if you had a heart problem, right. And you were in the office of a brain surgeon, you would be a little uncomfortable having a brain surgeon perform any cardiological procedures on you.
Right.
So it's the same sort of thing in the entertainment area.
Right.
Publishing has its nuances.
Right.
I represent a lot of #1 best-selling, New York Times best-selling authors, and do the transition, the deals from their books to television that you see or features. And it's very nuanced. It's not what the contracts say. Right. It's what they don't say that you need to know.
Okay.
And it's the same thing in music.
Right.
So I stay away from don't ask me any music legal questions.
I will not ask you anything involving music at all.
Okay,
I promise that. What I get from you is someone who is absolutely generous and giving and fun.
Thank you.
Can you be a hard ass in your profession? And do you have to be?
My fiancé says to me that sometimes it gives him a little bit of an erection when he hears me being a hard ass. Yes, I can be a hard ass. And if need be, I don't really. And thank you for those compliments, by the way.
Well, they're true.
I'm not really fond of that, that spot. I don't like to live in it.
Right.
My fiance also calls me Captain Candy because I always have a very optimistic view on life and scenarios. So I can be there and I'll go there if I need to, especially if it's on behalf of my clients. Right. Shakespeare wrote something to the effect of a man who represents himself as a fool for a client. So I try not to go to that place when it's for me. Right. Only for a client. Right.
Captain Candy, what a perfect name.
Captain Candy, that's me.
I love that.
Right? There's a rainbow around every corner.
And, you mentioned Mike, your fiance.
Yes.
Whom you met, and I know the both of you, and I love what you guys have. It is absolutely
Thank you.
Pure. It
Thank you.
is a pure love.
Thank you.
And it takes me back to another story. You were married to Michael, whom you lost.
Yes.
And I couldn't for the life of me, I had a psychologist on today, I could not for the life of me imagine picking up pieces after having lost my spouse. And at some point, you had to pivot away from grief and I think that's a two-parter in this question. Have you ever pivoted out of that grief? I'm guessing not. But how did you pivot into being able to fall in love again?
Really good question, actually. And it's sort of, I'll take a few steps back. It's
Please.
Why I'm here in Laguna and probably why I'm sitting in your chair, actually, was because my husband, Michael, of 35 years, dealt with cancer for a couple of years and ultimately chose to, in his sole discretion, to take his own life. As he had enough, and with the repercussions it was like a rock in a pond. The waves hit everybody, of course, who loved him, and especially me. So I didn't leave my condo for about 9 months in Los Angeles, and it was an overwhelmingly sad scenario for somebody who is usually Captain Candy.
Right.
So I realized I needed to do something to kickstart my life and to move it in a direction away from grief, whatever that was. And so I went online and looked for rental properties in Laguna because it's always been my happy place. As I mentioned earlier, I begged my parents when I was a little kid to bring me to the Pottery Shack and where I met Larson, our greeter. Right. So I have a deep history with Laguna. Always loved it. And I wound up, I actually contacted about 20 realtors here, and one responded to me. One. Who we are now good friends, and he has helped me find my home, but that's moving forward. Right. He found a rental property on the beach. I came here for 3 months. I didn't know a soul, and I thought, I'm bringing myself back to a happy place with incredible childhood memories, and if there's any way to move forward, this is the way to do it. And speaking of, I had been talking to a grief therapist for a while, and towards the end of it, it was very, very sad for me to actually say to her that I felt like I was moving on. And
was there guilt in that?
A lot of guilt.
Yeah, right.
A lot of guilt. And she said to me, one of the few things I took away from 9 months of therapy, but she said to me, "You're not moving on, you're moving forward." And even though it's semantics, for anybody who's experienced grief, or half of us who will, moving forward, there is a big difference between moving on and moving forward. So I came down here, I walked Honey, my little Scottish Terrier, on the beach. I met some incredible people who were also walking their dogs, and nobody knew my history. Right. Nobody knew my background. Nobody knew the sadness. And little by little that summer, the 3 months, it proved to be a magical first step forward. So much so that I decided to rent again for the following summer for another 3 months. And when I came down to Laguna that time, there was more of a jump in my step. Okay. And I had a 4th of July party for just the people I knew in Laguna that I had met. I invited about 20 people. I told them that it was not a BYOB party. Mm-hmm. It was a BYOG party. Do you know what a BYOG party is? Bring your own gay.
Okay.
Okay. I wanted to meet some gay people, and they've all moved away from Laguna.
Right. We used to be an incredibly gay community. There used
Unbelievable.
To be, right. The Boom Boom Room used to be a place that was frequented and packed.
The Little Shrimp.
Right.
There was, the Boom Boom Room. I don't know if this is accurate, but I think it was the very first bar in Orange County, gay bar in Orange County.
Okay.
It was a fun place. Right. The interesting things is that a lot of the LGBTQ plus community have moved to the desert, but one of the reasons I love Laguna is because the straight people are straight but not narrow who live here,
right,
and have been very welcoming. Right. And so all of the people I had invited to this 4th of July party were straight. And I told them they had to bring somebody who was gay.
Okay.
And so I had about 45 people. I met some great friends.
Right.
And after that, decided to buy a house, and here I am in Laguna.
Right.
And to add just a bit more to that, during that summer, I had the amazing good fortune, because I really thought I was going to be like a little old widow in Italy wearing black, never,
with a little bun in your hair,
right, and never, looking at the ground and never moving forward.
Right.
And I had I truly believe that my late husband Michael, right, and another longtime friend of mine that I knew even before Michael, named Howard Bragman, who was in Los Angeles and probably the top PR person in Los Angeles. He passed away after Michael, and they were in heaven, and they pulled some strings, and Howard's husband, Mike, who's an incredibly talented musician, and I met because they pulled some strings. And it wasn't a date. It wasn't we were getting together to talk about the sadness involved with losing somebody that we love, because unlike a divorce or a relationship that falls apart, when you lose somebody to death, the relationship's not over, the person is.
Right.
So we met, and for the first time for me, there was a spark, and that spark moved into something really amazing. And there are now 4 of us in this 4-man dance team, celebrating both of our relationships and our own relationship together.
You and Mike.
Me and Mike. I didn't have to change the monograms on the towels. It was great.
And Michael and Howard. If I can, I'm going to take a couple of steps back if I can.
Please.
And then come right back to this point. Tell me about Michael.
Michael was an amazing human being. Most people have never met anybody like him. He was, a lot of people talk about Bill Clinton, and if you've ever met him, and I've had the great fortune of meeting him, where he makes you feel like you're the only person in the room, with eye contact that doesn't deviate from you, regardless of how many people are in the room. Michael Epstein was very much the same way. Anybody will tell you who's met him that Michael made him feel incredibly special. It didn't make a difference if it was the busboy in the restaurant or if it was the CEO of a company. He would make everybody feel equal. He would make everybody feel wanted and adored. And he was an incredible entrepreneur. He was one of the smartest people I knew, who managed to get D's in high school. I don't know how you do that.
By being smart.
Right.
By being bored with the curriculum.
He was bored with the curriculum. It wasn't for him. I would have, if I got anything less than an A in any time from nursery school on, I would have, buried my head in the sand. But he didn't care, and he left. He was already buying and selling cars and in high school, and he opened a dealership right out of high school in White Plains, New York, where he was from. Wound up selling it, making a lot of dough, and decided he was going to come out here and move in with his uncle, who was also gay and a producer of TV shows in Hollywood. So he had a great entree. And he went back into the car business, and he went from business to business, always turning them around, always creating them. And until he wanted to do something fun and more interesting. Do you want to hear about that?
Tell me, please. It's the blog about eating.
Oh, well, there's 2 things.
Okay.
He and
I do want to hear. Tell me everything. All right.
Well, if I tell you the first main business that he went into, or not main business, but really, really fun, you will never get back to the blog about eating. So I'm going to skip ahead. So he and I decided neither of us cook.
Right.
And by the way, Mike is a really good cook. So that's a whole new great experience for me.
Fantastic.
Yes. And so, but anyway, Michael and I couldn't make ice cubes. So we ate out 21 meals a week.
Okay.
All the time. And it was de rigueur. It was just reservations.
Right.
And a friend of ours had bought one of the large gay newspapers in Los Angeles and said, we're just reviewing hamburger joints. Would you like to review for us? And we said, sure.
Yeah.
Wasn't any money in it, but who cares? We were going out and eating anyway. So, and I like to write, which is why I represent writers.
Right.
So we started writing these, and the readership went up from it. It started to become very popular, and they booked us every 2 weeks to write for this paper. Right. And pretty soon then we started writing for National Magazine, and then we created our own website. called the Dining Duo. And it's defunct, but you can find it out there. We did that for a number of years, and it was great fun. It was a lot. It was a lot of work, a lot more than just eating. We didn't get paid for it, and we wouldn't take freebie meals because it would alter our perception and how we would write.
That is the way to go, right
so,
there.
Yep, there was no freebies. Although I will tell you that at one point, because she just passed away, so I want to bring this up. At one point, even though it was our rule not to take freebies, Elaine Wynn, who was the brains of the Wynn operation, sorry, Steve, called us up and said she wanted to get the LGBTQ plus community into their hotels, and would we consult?
Okay.
And we said we would be honored,
right,
but we don't want to get paid because it would buy us things. And she said, how about if we put you up for a week? So we said, sure, that sounds great.
Right.
Well, let me tell you, Ed, it was all, I don't know if I can ever go to a hotel again after this experience. We were in a 10,000 square foot Wales 2-story suite with its own elevator, massage room, pool table, you name it. We had a Rolls Royce waiting for us to take us around anywhere, and meals in the Wynn and the Encore whenever and wherever we wanted. It was pretty amazing.
That's the way to roll right there.
Right. So that was our only payment that we took. But we did this, and then the social media sites started rolling around, and a client and dear friend of mine who is an internet reporter, Kurt the Cyber Guy, begged us to go on Instagram. And we were like, what's Instagram? Who wants to do this? It's like another headache. Who wants to do this? And we didn't, and it sort of died a death after about, 8 years. But we still get emails, and I do, and people still recognize us, and we'll say, "Hey, Dining Duo."
Right. I found it fascinating when you described a restaurant here in town that I had been just beside myself with how great it was for us in our first couple of experiences, Anne Marie and I. And then when you went, you got less than a great experience. How detailed you were about that experience.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. It's a leftover. It's a habit.
It is. And do you find yourself doing that?
I do.
Yeah,
I try not to say anything,
right?
But I do, because when anybody who writes will know that the devil's in the details.
Right.
And I would take copious notes at a restaurant with everything that was great and everything that wasn't so great.
Right.
And so those things sort of will, as an example, if there's any restaurateurs out there listening, one of our pet peeves would be when we're out somewhere enjoying ourselves and spending money to do so, when the waiter or server would come over and say, "Are you still working?"
Right.
And it was like, "We're not working.
Right.
You're working. We're trying to enjoy ourselves. But thank you for reminding me about all the work that I have back home when I get home tonight." So, it's those sorts of things that are very important to a dining experience.
Right. I like you. I grew up in a situation in Las Vegas where my parents were constantly we were going to gourmet rooms. My father was an expert in gourmet food. So I would not really judge the food as much as I would judge the atmosphere and the courtesy, and sometimes lack of courtesy. In just a moment, it can be ruined by someone who just isn't experienced as a server.
Although I must say, in Las Vegas, you have the consummate waiters. These are professional waiters.
Right.
They're not, actor, model, wannabes. They're professional waiters, and they're really almost across the board phenomenal.
Yeah.
The shout out I wanted to give to Elaine's memory was she was incredible. She was so nice and so sweet and so courteous. And not only to us, but, we had heard a story behind the scenes where a very low-level employee had cancer, and she sent them on her private jet to a clinic in North Carolina that specialized in that type of cancer. And this is the way she rolled.
Right.
But it was very fun because when we went to dinner and she asked how our week had been before we started our business, I said, "This place is unbelievable." I said, I could move here. All I need is my dog. And she said, "Well, we'll send the jet." It was a great experience.
Right.
It was really nice.
I'm glad you had it.
But-
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted, unless you had some more questions, I wanted to backtrack to one of Michael's biggest.
That's where I wanted to go.
Most.
That's exactly where we were going.
Because it's fascinating, and at some point I am going to look into doing maybe some sort of a TV series or documentary around it. But Michael Epstein, was one of the very first to come into the 976, 800, and 900 numbers that we all knew about,
Right.
and some of us used. Ed, did you ever use those numbers?
I once or twice may have used a 976 number.
I'm sure it was for the poker, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that was it.
Okay.
And it was really phenomenal because, of course, nobody knew about any of that.
Right.
And he had this inspiration to do that. So he rented a little space down at the telephone company in downtown Los Angeles that was smaller than our studio that I'm sitting in.
Wow.
And where he set up his systems and put an ad into some of initially it was some of the gay newspapers.
Right.
Put an ad into some of the newspapers, and when it broke, we went down immediately to the space,
Right.
and you could see the numbers. Like, do you remember the old VCRs or where you would watch the numbers go around and it was almost stuck at 999 most of the time?
Yeah.
Right. So you could see the numbers go around, and we were in there, and it would be like 1,
Right.
2, and so forth.
Right.
And we're like, okay, well, that's good. It's starting. And we went home, went to sleep, went back down the next day. And when we opened up the door, the reels were spinning, and it was going ding, 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 for one evening. That was one evening. And he was off to the races, went into the straight world, went into the bisexual world,
Right.
went into, went into the psychic stuff.
Right.
Not the criminal stuff.
Right.
It was all this side.
Right.
And it was all, and then ultimately, I mean, I'm shortcutting all of this, but because it was quite a story to behold, but he ultimately took the company public.
Right.
And he had then went into the credit card processing from there for other people who were coming into that business and needed to have a place to process all their credit cards.
What imagination that takes to
It was
know
amazing.
what's going to be needed.
Right.
You know, that's incredible imagination.
He was imaginative. He was a brilliant guy, very well read a book a day. A book a day. I would go on vacation and maybe get through a People magazine. Right. Maybe.
Right.
Right. And he would go through a book a day. It was pretty amazing. I mean, this sort of, determination and self-awareness really followed him up until the day that his life ended, because he knew what he wanted.
Right.
And he knew he had a clear design that he was going to do life his way, which is, among many reasons, the reason why I loved him.
Did he discuss ending his life with you beforehand?
He did not.
So this was a complete...
No, Captain Candy,
shock.
as Mike calls me,
Right.
would have done everything. I'm a healer and a savior and a fixer,
Right.
and I to the extreme, maybe too much.
Right.
And I would have done everything within my capabilities to have stopped that, with the hope that there would have been a cure, a thought, something that would have changed. But unfortunately, he had skin cancer, and it was pervasive, which came out during the pandemic. And it was all over his head, so they were using radiation to radiate the sores, the lesions on his head. And doctors are very myopic, So their determination was to get rid of the lesions, not to look at the person as a whole.
Right.
Unfortunately, the radiation was also affecting his brain and his cognitive abilities, and he knew it.
Right.
So, no, he didn't. So it was ultimately the right decision for him, which I've come to terms with.
Right.
It was not the right decision for me, and to have and live with that was and still is unfathomable. I have become more adjusted to the concept, but for anybody who has dealt with somebody who has any sort of mental illness or who has a determination to end their own life, it's a very scary scenario, and one that unfortunately they refer to us as survivors of suicide. And it's something that I'm sure I will live with for the rest of my life. As an example of what a wonderful man Mike Maimone is, when we watch a television show where there's a suicide scene, he will put his arm around me, and he understands what I'm feeling without me having to express it. It's amazing when you look at TV and movies how cavalier people are about portraying suicide when it's affected so many people. Ironically, by the way, backing up, Michael and I were and are advocates of the Trevor Project, which is a very important suicide prevention organization for LGBTQ plus youth and anybody else who wants to call in when they're having this kind of a crisis. I've stepped away from that because it's been so difficult for me with suicide, but at the time, they had about 35,000 calls a month. So the statistics in this country are very, very high of people who struggle with life. And it's amazing to me when you do see very cavalier scenes. We were watching Righteous Gemstones the other day, which is very funny, and I highly recommend it. But there was a scene where the guy said, "I'm just going to kill myself," and he runs and jumps off a balcony, and it's like, where's that funny?
Right.
So I know we're looking for humor and everything, and I applaud all the very funny people who do so. But for those of us who are survivors, it's difficult to live with that when we see it.
Right. I want to take this opportunity and say that help is available. If you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts or mental health matters, here in the United States, you can call or text 988. It's the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And globally, the International Association for Suicide Prevention and Befrienders Worldwide have contact information as well. And
call a friend.
And
just call a friend. I have a good friend who just went through this 2 weeks ago, so it hit close to home. And she didn't call me. And I said to everybody, you once somebody attempts suicide, everybody's afraid to confront them with anything.
Right.
Because they're so fragile.
Right.
But, tough love is important as well. And I did say to her very sternly, why didn't you call me?
Right.
You know what I've been through. Why didn't you call me? And, thank God she survived.
She survived the attempt.
But for anybody who is out there who is looking at the hardships of life, all I can say is what I've learned is we're going to be dead for a very long time.
Right.
So why rush it?
Right. Did you ever have those thoughts? Did you ever never?
It's very interesting because the statistic for those remaining.
Right. Even after you lost Michael.
Well, that's it. The statistic for those who have lost somebody to suicide is significantly higher than the mainstream.
Right.
So one of the things that this grief therapist kept asking me in the beginning was, am I feeling suicidal? And I said to her, I've just experienced the absolute worst, unbelievable experience of my lifetime. I couldn't imagine anything worse. And by the way, I lost both my parents, who I love deeply, and that was terrible and tragic. And they lived their lives, and had very rich lives. But this was horrendous. Mm. And to be awakened at 7 a.m. by the police, not knowing what had transpired, was really horrendous. But I said to the therapist, if I haven't felt suicidal from this, right, it's just not in my makeup. And it's not.
Okay.
It's not. There's too much. I have to tell you, Ed, I wake up in the morning. It's a beautiful day in Laguna almost every day, even when it's overcast. It's its own sense of beauty.
Right.
When, Mike and I get Honey on a leash, and we walk down to the beach and walk with the other dog lovers on the beach, and you breathe in the ocean air and the surf and the sand and the sun. And as Mike says, we live in vacation.
Right.
And for those who don't live here, you have your own vacations that are out there. But there is too much living to do for me. And I have lots and lots of plans. Having Mike Mimoni in my life has allowed me to really make those plans more expansive. And I'm excited to see what's next.
Let's talk about Mike Mimoni in your life, because I do.
I didn't ask him how much I could say. Go ahead. I think I probably said enough. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No. Just a conversation among friends.
Among friends. Nobody's listening.
Nobody's listening here.
Ask me about his music.
That brings me. It turns me around to his music. I mentioned before we went on air. Regardless of where he is in your life or the fact that I know him, I would love his music and put it all here in the radio station to play. His entire catalog is here at the radio station because his music is so good. When you hear this person that you're in love with and experience their creativity, does it feel like an out-of-body experience?
Well, and you've asked me about Michael, my late husband.
Right.
Michael was unbelievably creative in a business sense.
Right.
And I think I'm creative in different areas, but I have absolutely no musical talent.
Right.
And so to answer your question, it's unbelievable. It's fantastic. And it's not just me. We have our neighbors who stalk us because they hang outside while Mike plays piano and sings and creates. I mean, he's not just a performer, but he is a brilliant songwriter.
Also, lyrically so gold. It's gold.
It's gold. And, just to back up a little bit on how we met, Ed, you and I walk by here with my dog every day, admiring what you're doing and listening to the music, and we would talk, and we had an amazing simpatico from the beginning. And at one point I said to you, I'd love for you to listen to my boyfriend's, because he was my boyfriend at that point, music. And then I told Mike afterwards that I was so excited I had said that, and you said, of course I'll listen. And Mike said to me, don't ever say that somebody's your boyfriend, because they'll just assume it's like some, piece of what.
Right.
But you listened to it, and you loved it enough to be able to play it on your station all the time.
Right. I reached out for more.
Yeah. And I have to say, I have watched him over the last, time that we've been together. He created his new album that he's releasing song by song, and the album's about to come out soon. Right. He created this out of the depths of despair that came from losing his husband in 10 days from diagnosis to loss from leukemia. And so the pain that he's gone through, which I think is probably with most musicians, that pain translates to creativity, has come through in the most brilliant of ways. I sometimes will sit in the other room and just listen to him play and compose, and I think to myself, how lucky am I to have such a creative genius in my life who I do love.
Right. As you've heard him tell you stories about Howard, and as you've gotten to know Howard through him, do you see a little of Howard in you?
Howard and I are remarkably similar. We have our differences,
Okay.
but we are remarkably similar. We're a few months apart in age.
Right.
I think we both have big senses of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Howard had a giant sense of humor. Our offices were across the street from each other, ironically.
Wow.
And Howard and I would call each other frantically when there would be a hot guy walking down the street in front of us. This was in the day of telephones, real telephones.
Right, the dials.
I'd call him up, and the secretary would answer, and I'm Mr. Bragman's office, and I would say, I need to talk with Howard. It's an emergency. And she would say, can I tell him what this is regarding? It's an emergency. And Howard would get on the phone and say, where is he? And the best part about that, by the way, is we both agreed on the same guy.
Right.
Ironically.
Clearly.
Clearly.
Clearly. All right.
But I think there's a lot of similarities. His father and my father had the same name. My dad was from Detroit. He was from Flint, right outside Detroit. We crossed circles. We weren't in the same friend group,
right,
but we always admired each other. We had clients in common. Right. Because he was a crisis PR guy, and lots of my clients get into crises.
Right.
That's what happens in the entertainment industry. And so we shared some clients, and he was a really wonderful guy. I wish that Mike would have known Michael in the same way that I got to experience Howard.
Right. Okay. This is a beautiful story. This is an absolutely beautiful story. I cannot be happier that we're doing this.
Well, I had called him up, by the way. It's a much longer version, but an email. I was on my way for my second summer in Laguna, where I was in a much better place.
Okay.
I had about a week to go for my 3-month vacation here, or workcation.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I got an email from Facebook. And I've been off social media when Michael died,
right,
so completely. And this email just came to me and said, Howard Bragman sent me a message. And I thought, well, I knew he had died.
Right.
So how is that possible? Probably 6 months after he had passed away. So I thought, if it's that easy to talk to heaven, I'll bite on it. And I launched it, and it was a message Howard had sent me after Michael had passed away. Some reason it found its way to me when I was off all social media 6 months after he had written it. So and it was enough to get me crying. And then I saw what Mike was writing about their relationship. And I just sent Mike a message through Facebook saying, if you ever want to talk about Howard, I have some fun stories. And I know what it's like to be a widow, and we can cry on each other's shoulders and have some laughs. It was not a date.
Right.
For either of us.
Right.
In fact, to that point, I went early and at the restaurant and told the waitress to bring my check in 45 minutes because I had some business to do.
Right.
It was about 3.5 hours that we had at that lunch, not 45 minutes. She was very confused.
The life you live now with him involves traveling and seeing places and wondrous places, I might add. The places you go are incredible. Are you going to continue traveling, and what is your next stop?
Absolutely. Well, Mike's brought an interesting angle to that traveling because he goes on tour.
Right.
And he had lived in Chicago and then for 12 years and then Nashville. And so he plays a lot of Midwest places. So one of the great travel experiences we had was actually just being domestic. And I went with him. I decided I was going to be his roadie, but all the equipment was already there. So I raised myself to tour manager.
Right.
And I figured I was sleeping with the boss, so I got to get the promotion. And so we had a really, really fun time. Well, his birthday's in November. We're going off to Kona, right, and he has a gig there. So we're combining a birthday trip and a Kona gig. Last year we went to Australia. We were in Italy a couple of times. This coming year he's got a gig in Italy in the island of Ischia, which we've stayed in a couple of times. So we're combining the travel with, which I always loved,
right,
with some of his touring. and making it fun. In fact, one of the things we're doing connects up to Laguna because he has a gig in San Francisco, and a couple of weeks ago we saw the pageant of the arts.
Pageant of the Masters.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Was it your first time?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was Mike's.
Okay.
But I've been before,
Okay.
and last time was about 20 years ago. It was a little tedious and slow, and they changed between sets.
Right.
Boy, has that changed.
Right.
It was great.
It gets better every year.
It was great. And they one of the things they talked about, gave us a whole list of museums and places to see.
Right.
One of them was San Simeon, which last time I was there, I was 8.
Wow.
With my brother and sister.
Right.
At the Madonna Inn, of all weird places. And so Mike and I are going to stop there on the way up to his gig in San Francisco.
That is perfection.
So thank you, pageant.
Yes. Hearst Castle. So when they showed in the pageant, they showed Hearst Castle. I'm like, my God, why haven't we been to Hearst Castle? So I'm not a big traveler. Anne-Marie and I are not like you and Michael, or you and Mike, excuse me. We are not travelers. But I think Hearst Castle is a good stop.
Well, I was, a lot of times, a lot of my straight friends, I have very mixed friends. A lot of my straight friends will say to me, "Hey, Scott, when did you know you were gay?" And I'll say, well, I didn't really know what the word meant, obviously.
Right.
But when I was 8 and we went up to the Hearst Castle, the tour as an 8-year-old was such a bore,
Right. Oh, the statues.
But the statues.
Oh, the statues.
All the statues. And I was glued to them, especially in the pool area where they weren't wearing fig leaves.
Right.
And I knew at that point something was a little different. So I can't wait to go back as a grown-up and see if the statues are still as fun.
I want to stay there for a second. Did your parents know? Did you, at some point in your life, did you have to come out to them, or did they already know?
It was a different time. These young kids today, I mean, there are certainly places around our country that it's very difficult, and kids still, hence the Trevor Project and the suicide lines.
Right.
But it was very difficult. We paved the way for these younger kids.
Right.
But it was very difficult. When Michael and I had gotten together,
Okay.
it was a few years into our relationship, and I was in my young 30s, and I couldn't balance the different worlds, and they were colliding. So eventually I did tell my parents. It was very difficult. My parents are incredible, loving parents who, of course, kept me in the fold, but tried to wrap their heads around it. My dad, who came from Detroit, very Midwest, couldn't really comprehend it, and unfortunately passed away too soon afterwards to have made peace with it. Right. My mom practically, marched with glad. She cried when I first told her, but I was very well prepared because I had 32 plus years to get to that spot.
Right.
And she was just finding out. So, she went to all the usual places that parents will go to. You're going to ruin your career. And I said, but I already have my own law office, and I have clients, and they're straight, most of them, and they don't care. They just want a good contract negotiated.
Right.
They don't care who I go home to at the end of the night.
Right.
And she said, your friends are going to scoff you. And it's like, then those aren't my friends.
Right.
I grew up where you always told me sticks and stones will break your bones, but names will never hurt you. But now you're changing your mind. Right. So they call me a name. It's not going to hurt me. I've had a good upbringing to know that those people aren't my friends, and the friends that I do have just don't care.
How incredibly healthy. How incredibly healthy of you.
Thank you.
Did your brother and sister know?
My brother and sister knew, in theory, before my parents did.
Right.
They always say mothers are the first to find out, and the first to know and the last to find out. Right. So my brother and sister, my sister was, a hippie, went to Berkeley in the 60s, and incredibly accepting of anybody and everybody.
Right.
And so she was almost excited that her brother was gay, so she could tell all her friends. Right?
I have a gay brother.
It's like, calm down. So it was like, My brother, who's more conservative, was concerned about his young children.
Right.
But young children are resilient. They don't care. They just love their Uncle Scotty.
Right. And who
so-
couldn't love this Uncle Scotty?
And he and my sister-in-law have completely come around. When Mike and I got engaged in Italy in June,
Right.
the first thing they said was, we want to throw you an engagement party. So the world keeps turning, and thankfully it keeps changing in a very positive way. We're all fearful, without delving into politics, of it snapping back. But I kind of look at it as the real estate market. It goes up a lot, it goes down a little, and it goes up a lot more. And it goes down a little, and it goes up a lot more. So on a social basis, I'm hoping and praying that as the next generations of LGBTQ plus folks come around, that they're going to have an easier and easier time of it.
How would you counsel someone that is maybe 14, 15, 16, 20, whatever, a younger person who has not yet made that decision?
It's a really good question. I did want to say that before my mom passed away, she would have anniversary parties for Michael and me. She, everything that my brother and sister got,
Right.
she did for me as well.
Right.
I think that's part of the answer. For those fortunate people that have a family advocate,
Right.
whoever it is, if it's an aunt or an uncle, a sister or a brother or a mom or a dad, it's latch on to that advocate, because they're the ones who are going to change everything for you. For those of you who don't have a family advocate, as difficult as that is, the families sometimes that you have are the ones that you make. So find that friend. I remember in college, or shortly thereafter, I came out to my very dear friend in college, which was horribly difficult, because I thought I was going to be abandoned and he would hate me and our friendship would be over and all those stupid thoughts. And when I finally came out to him, he said, "Oh, my mom's a lesbian."
There you go.
I was like, "What? Why didn't you tell me that?" And he said, "Well, why didn't you tell me you were gay?" And at the end of the day, we are everywhere. So we're in every family, we're at every level. We may not be out, but there are people who love us, and we need to find the people who love us. And that's what I would say, is find those people who love you and bring them in as your advocate, and they'll help clear the way for you as you go through life. When you find out that all of the time and energy spent on sexuality is so wasteful, it's irrelevant.
Right.
I always have said in my generation that anybody who was successful were supermen or superwomen, because we wasted all that time and all that energy on really irrelevant things. And now that I'm in Act 3 of my life, I will tell you it's irrelevant. My friends and my family who love us, they love us for who we are, not for who we're with.
A couple of more questions. I words to live by, first of all. Absolute words to live by.
Thank you.
And a couple of is there a book in your future?
It's interesting because as a lawyer, I can't kiss and tell.
All right.
So people have always said you should write a book.
Right.
I can't be specific.
Well,
but I can be general.
You wouldn't have. I'm talking about a book about your life, a book of your experiences. Forget your clientele.
Well, I actually, after Michael passed away, I sat down and I started writing a very funny, satirical, and tragic and funny book about my path in life. And I've gotten about a third of the way through. I was inspired by Mike because he's written a book about a brilliant book, memoir about his experience with Howard. And I've watched him actually complete it.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm a Gemini, so we have great ideas. And if anybody knows about astrology, we have great ideas, and we move on to the next idea.
That's where you lost me.
Right. But I am going to go back to it because he inspired me, and I've got the beginning of it. So thank you, Ed, for encouraging me on that as well.
I would be the first in line to have it signed and read it. I would.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Before we go, let's tell the world about honey.
Oh, my honey.
Yeah.
So, as you all know, my name's Scott. All my friends who love me and family and Ed and Anne-Marie, you can call me Scotty. But you all call me Scotty. And I always wanted a Scotty dog when I was a kid.
Right.
So I got my first Scotty dog when I was about 33. And I decided she would be Junior because, of course, I'm Scotty Senior and she was Scotty Junior. She's up in Scotty heaven now on Rainbow's Bridge waiting for me. Or she's with Michael. I haven't figured out. He got there first, so I hope he didn't take her. But
You're feeding her too much.
right. Exactly. So then the next Scotty, because I was destined for it, was Triple, because he was the third Scotty.
There you go.
And he's up in Scotty dog heaven, also theoretically waiting for me. And so when we got Honey, she was supposed to be Quattro, because she was the fourth Scotty. But she came with the name Honey, and she is, because you met her, a honey.
She is absolutely a honey.
She is the sweetest,
just
literal
honey.
She will
literal
come,
honey.
For everybody who can't see this, Ed has this great open air studio in Laguna. And when the doors are open, Honey comes running in to give him a hug and a kiss and get a cookie. And when he's not here, on the rare times that he's not here, she comes forlorn and sits in front of the door and won't move.
It is the cutest photograph you could possibly ever send me, is her doing that.
It's great. And so she is the love of my life. She is 11 and actually there's a few loves of my life, as you just heard. And she's one of the loves of my life, but she's the furry love of my life. Well, Mike is that too, come to think of it. Right. And she is really, I tell you, after Michael passed away, I don't know if I would have made it if it weren't for her. She's Scotty. People have Scotty dogs. I've counted 6 in Laguna, which is very rare. They know they're not the most affectionate, but they mean it.
Right.
They just don't want to show it.
Right.
Every time I would cry, which was a lot, she would come and sit in my lap without me calling her and really would lick the tears away. And so, yes, I love her. I adore her. And I hope for many years to come, I will be walking by your studio as I've watched your numbers grow and grow and grow. And by the way, I already told you I know nothing about music.
Right.
I've learned a lot from Mike.
Right.
But guess what? I picked number 1 on your countdown.
Yeah, you did.
Stairway to Heaven.
Yes, you did.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
It was our pleasure. It was absolutely my pleasure to have this conversation. I look forward to every day having you walk by with Honey, and I look forward to many more years of conversation as a personal friend.
Thank you so much. I don't want to tip this off, but if you go to the Taste of Laguna on October 2nd, there is a raffle, and you can bid for this hour. Yeah. But I still have more to talk about, so I'm going to bid.
Oh, you're in on this year's silent auction as well.
Yep.
My God. All right. Thank you.
I'm coming back.
All right. Scott Schwimer, thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you so much.
All the love in the world to you, and I'll look forward to maybe having this conversation again.
Me too. Thanks so much, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. About a minute after 1 o'clock, it's the all-new Voice of Laguna. From Laguna Beach to Myrtle Beach to the Jersey Shore, the best music on the planet is on the Voice of Laguna.